If your last name wasn't Biden, do you think you would have been asked to be on the board of Burisma?
I don't know. I don't know. Probably not. I don't think that there's a lot of things that would have happened in my life that if my last name wasn't Biden. My dad was vice president of the United States. There's literally nothing as a young man or as a full-grown adult that my father, in some way, hasn't had influence over. It does not serve either one of us.
So there was a lot in this Hunter Biden interview on ABC earlier today since the blow-up controversy, the first time he has spoken since the blow-up controversy with Ukraine and then China denying any wrongdoing in his business overseas. Later tonight, Joe Biden will join 11 others on the debate stage in Westerville, Ohio. Here to analyze all this is Karl Rove. And Karl, good morning to you there in Austin, Texas. A lot of things stuck out with me in this interview. I'll just take this first one. I don't think there's a lot of things that would have happened in my life if my last name wasn't Biden, I guess, including the number of positions he held with various businesses throughout his adult life. What did you hear from this interview on ABC? Let's start there.
I heard tone deafness. I heard somebody who could not acknowledge the very simple fact that the reason that Devon Archer and Hunter Biden were added to the Burisma board was that Devon Archer, his business partner, was a longtime associate of then Secretary of State John Kerry, and he was the son of the Vice President of the United States. And this, I've got some experience in this part of the world. I used to be on the board of international broadcasting that oversaw Radio Free Europe and Radio Liberty in what is now the former Soviet Union. And what was happening then was, when these two men were added to the board, was there was a new Democratic government in Kiev, and the company wanted to send a clear signal. It had juice in Washington. It had stroke in Washington. So it added the longtime associate of the then Secretary of State and the Vice President's son to the board, even though neither had experience in energy and neither of them had experience in Ukraine. But the whole message was to the central government in Kiev, don't mess with Burisma because we got stroke with Washington, D.C. And he was tone deaf. Same with China. What experience did he have in running an investment fund? And how do you get a $1.5 billion equity stake if you don't have any experience in running businesses or running an investment fund? You get it because you're the vice president's son.
He also said on a 12-hour flight to China, never talked about it with his father as vice president in the plane. I guess it's possible, maybe not probable. And also they had a handshake and had tea or something in a Beijing hotel. I want to get another clip here, too. And I went just a little more context for this, Karl. You've lived and worked in Washington, D.C. Have you seen the number of affiliations that Hunter Biden has had with American business and foreign business? The list is extensive. Either a member of a board or some sort of affiliation. Amtrak, Boyce Schiller, which I think the law firm, Burisma Holdings that we just talked about, Udura Capital, LLC, MBNA America Bank, Department of Commerce, U.S. Global Leadership Coalition, World Food Program. That's half of what I have right here in front of me. Back to the interview on GMA, and I'll ask you about this here and whether or not it's a conflict of it all sounds, Karl, it all sounds so darn swampy. Back to Hunter Biden, GMA.
Whether I'm in New York or whether I'm in Washington, D.C., a friend and a business associate is in the hotel, and my dad's sitting there. Is it inappropriate for me to have coffee with them?
What do you say to people who believe this is exactly why people hate Washington?
I don't know what to tell you. I made a mistake in retrospect as it related to creating any perception that was wrong.
Okay, I just went through a list, partial list anyway. Continue, Karl.
Yeah, some of those are volunteer things. But look, everybody's entitled to make a living, and you could sort of, like MBNA was a Delaware-based company. He was a lawyer. You could see him getting hired. But the question is sometimes you stretch it, and he clearly stretched it, in my opinion, in Ukraine, and clearly stretched it in China. These things would not have been available to him if he were not the son of the Vice President of the United States. And look, Vice President Biden understands that now, apparently, because he says, I won't allow this to happen if I'm elected president. He should not have allowed it to happen when he was vice president. And here's something else. I know for fact certain that members of the Obama administration were nervous about this at the time that it happened. They were concerned that the Vice President of the United States is going to Ukraine in anti-corruption efforts at the same time that his son is on the board of a stinky company. Think about it, getting paid $50,000 a month and attending 2 to 4 meetings a year in Kiev. I mean, that's great work if you can get it, but there's only one reason he had it, and that reason was that company wanted to say to the state prosecutor in Kiev, don't mess with Burisma because we got Strzok in Washington with Hunter Biden and Devon Archer on our board.
Some Democrats are already saying he should not have talked today, given the debate tonight. Ed Rendell, I think, the former governor of Pennsylvania, said that. Carl,
who's a
thank
Biden
you.
supporter.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. We will have much more on this throughout the day. Carl, thank you for that.